Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome here, this is your host, Ma'awitaka. And here we are continuing on our series, Prophetic Chronicles, where we discuss the lives of the prophets, starting from Adam alayhi salam, all the way to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Hopefully here, if you follow the series from the beginning, you've seen a consistent pattern of the prophets, their message, and what they came to deliver and what they came to do. And we've spoken about all the prophets, some of the prophets before idolatry came to the children of Adam, after that, and then we focus after that from Ibrahim alayhi salam to the prophets that came from his progeny, from Ismail and Ishaq. And more specifically, the child of Ishaq, Yaqub, who we know who's renamed to be Israel. And now for many episodes now we've covered prophets that came from Bani Israel, the children of Israel. Starting with Yusuf alayhi salam, then Musa and Harun, and then Yusha, and so on and so forth. And more specifically now, as we come near to this part of the story, we focus on almost the three sections of, you say, dominion or kingship that happened amongst the children of Israel, where Allah gave them dominion over the land, so they were able to establish the laws of Musa. So that was, you can almost say that was a pivotal point or a pivotal difference between what happened before Musa and what happened after Musa. So before Musa, there wasn't really an example of a Nabi who was a leader establishing Sharia, establishing the laws. We just had Anbiya who gave da'wah, encouraging people to do good and righteousness, and it was more simple than what Musa came with. And then we have Musa, what he came with, and then established the Sharia upon that. And we had three sections. One section at the beginning, then a middle section which we saw with Dawood and Sulaiman, and then the final section which eventually ended. And then once that ended, we had now the birth of Yahya, who came from Prophet Zakaria, and then we spoke about the birth of Isa alayhi salam. Now, what's special about Isa alayhi salam is that he was the final messenger or final prophet, a messenger from Allah to the children of Israel. That was the last. He was the final and most significant, one of the most significant messengers sent to the children of Israel. And what was interesting about Isa alayhi salam is, number one, how he was born. He wasn't born like a natural birth. As Allah mentioned in the Quran, the likeness of Isa is the likeness of Adam. Allah created him from turab, and it said be, and he was. We mentioned how the miraculous birth of Isa, how the soul was blown into Maryam, and how she delivered, and according to one of the opinions, it was within 9 hours of inception, he was born, and he was fully formed, much like Adam. But what's interesting about Isa, some say that the similarities, when you look at the similarity between Isa and Adam, Adam had no mother or father, whereas Isa had no father. So there's that similarity there. But another similarity, which if you contemplate the similarity between the two of them, is that Adam, when he was born with knowledge. He had knowledge from Allah from the very beginning, from inception. And when the moment Adam came into existence and came alive, he spoke. What happened to Isa? Subhanallah. The moment he came alive, he spoke. Indicating that the similarities between Adam and Isa is a lot more deeper than just the fact that Isa had no father. Isa even did miracles and had knowledge and spoke and had knowledge from Allah. And even he said, Atani al-kitab, Allah gave me the book. When did he say that? When the people came to him, or Maryam brought them to the people, and she pointed to him, he said, Allah gave me a book. So when did he give him the book? He said, Atani. He didn't say, Siyatini. He didn't say, he will give me, or Siyutini. He didn't say, he will give me. He said, he gave me, which is something that was already in him, indicating that Isa alayhi salam was given knowledge from Allah from inception, from the beginning. So we see Isa was an amazing prophet, an amazing messenger from Allah. But what is known from the ulama, what is said from the ulama, is that after that incident when he spoke in the cradle, he didn't speak again other than normally. So essentially Isa acted as a normal child after that event, because that event was purely to convey the message and to indicate and signify that Maryam was free from their accusations, free from their evil. But he didn't continuously speak after that. But what was interesting and has been narrated is that Isa alayhi salam, when he was 7 years old, his mum sent him to go and learn, going to teachers, and it was said that when the teachers would talk about the book, talk about Revelation, talk about Islam. And by the way, just in case you might be wondering, people say, oh, what they're Jewish, why you say about Islam? All the Anbiya came with the religion of Al-Islam, of submission to Allah. Yes, it wasn't the same Islam that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with in terms of the Sharia, but in terms of the message and the Tawheed and the oneness of Allah, it's still Al-Islam. So when they came to explaining the book, they didn't know. And it was said in one narration that he said to them, how are you my teacher and you don't know this? So then apparently Isa told them to sit down, and then he explained it to them, and they were shocked. How is this young child explaining stuff to us that we don't know? It's also narrated, and Allah is best, Allahu Alam, that when he was playing with the other children, he would inform the children what was for dinner. And then when they went home to their parents, they'll say, oh, Mom, Dad, where's the so-and-so for dinner? And they'll say, how did you know that this was for dinner? It's, oh, because this boy Isa told us. And the parents got concerned. How's this guy know about private business? So it was said, Allahu Alam, that there was concern about Isa, and some of the parents took their children away from Isa. So again, there's not much known about his youth, about what happened when he was young, about events that happened when he was young, except for narrations here and there. Some of them are authentic, some of them are not, and some of them are mentioned in the Gospels with the Christians. But there's nothing definitive that is known. It was said that Maryam, because of this concern that was happening, because of certain concerns for his safety, she migrated out of the area where they were, and she actually went to Egypt, according to one opinion. Some say she went to Damascus, some say she went to Ramallah, some said that she went to Bayt al-Maqdis. Allahu A'lam, where she went. But the point here is that she went somewhere else, and then when he grew up, and because he was a big man, obviously, it was at that point where the message now, or you could say maybe he was given instruction to now convey the message to Islam openly. So what was the message that he had to give? So already we know Zakaria was a prophet, Yahya was a prophet, and this was something that was very common amongst the children of Israel, that Allah chose amongst them prophets. And he was one of the prophets. Actually, he was the last of the prophets, because Yahya was born before Isa. So he was teaching and calling them to Tawheed, but not just teaching them what was inside the Torah, which is what was the laws of Musa, but also the Injil, additional revelation given to him by Allah. And he was calling them to the worship of Allah. Now, as we've seen over and over and over again, from the children of Adam upon the oneness of Allah, and as time passed, shirk. Then we saw with Nuh and his family upon the oneness of Allah, as time moved on, shirk. We see this even when the children of Israel established the kingship. After a couple hundred years, they lost that and fallen upon sin and transgression. Then Dawood and Musa and Suleiman established a kingship again, or established a dominion again, and over time they returned to worshiping Baal and other idols. We see constantly with mankind, there is a constant almost reversion back to shirk. And we know the reason why. Iblis, he is hadith, he is eager to get us to worship anything. Trees, rocks, stars, moon, ourselves, science. Whatever it is, he wants us to be beguiled and misguided, and to worship other than Allah. That's why you find shirk is many, whereas Tawheed is one. Always the messages have come back to this one true guidance, whereas all these people have always gone to one thing and one thing else. You will always find it's the same message of shirk, and that they're always called back to the same message of Tawheed. So you call them back to that. But also what happened with Bani Israel at that time, if you can imagine this, a long time has passed between Musa alayhi salam and Isa, long time. So now, and they're still following the same Sharia, Between Yusha to Dawood is about 400-500 years. Between Dawood and Isa is another probably 4 or 5. Between Dawood and Sulaiman and Jeremiah, and probably another 400 or 500 years. And between that time, there's more 100 years. So we see here there's a lot of time between the two. And because of that, certain traits have become, or certain negative traits have become the norm. And from them is this constant treating of the religion as being almost like a cultural thing, almost like we are Jews, we are the children of Israel, we're going to paradise anyway, nothing can stop us. We don't need to worry about this and the other. Even being complacent in Iman and belief, to the point when it was mentioned in the story, Allahu A'lam, it's true, mentioned in the story that they were using the masjid as a place of business, to do riba, to do trade, and Isa rebuked them, so how are you doing this? Essentially, one of the core message of Isa was to bring them back to the spirit of Islam, of actually worshipping and believing in Allah and adopting and following the religion of Al-Islam. Also, Isa came to relieve and allow certain things that was prohibited from before. Hence why Isa is a Rasul. He came with some additional Sharia. And most importantly, and I would say this is very, very, very important, listen carefully, this is a very important point. He came to give glad tidings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why is this important? Because Isa was the last of the Anbiya given to Bani Israel. There was no more Nabi after Isa. And the reason why this is so significant, you can almost say this is one of the potential reasons why Isa was such a miraculous birth, was such a miraculous creation of Allah, and given so much amazing miracles, we're going to discuss in a minute, is because there's going to be a gravitational shift with the children of Israel. There's going to be a Nabi that's going to come that's not from the child of Ishaq. Think about it. They've had hundreds of years of Anbiya through that same line, that same descendancy, and to be told that the very final prophet to bring the final message of Islam comes from someone else, another family, that's a massive shift. That's a gravitation. That's a huge shift. And for such a huge shift, you need huge evidence. What evidence did Isa have? One of the things that he did was that he created or fashioned a bird from clay and blew into it and became an actual bird by the permission of Allah. The people who were blind, who he rubbed their face and they were able to see. There were lepers who had leprosy. Again, he would rub their skin and their skin were cured. He would inform people what's in their homes, as we saw example that when he was even younger. And even the resurrecting the dead. There was an individual who passed away, and Isa, by the permission of Allah, called him said to rise up by the permission of Allah, and he was resurrected. This is the reason why we have such massive and huge miracles. It's because the shift that was coming was huge, and the only way to deal with this shift is with something equally huge and equally magnificent. So this is what happened. But Isa noticed, after all this evidence, after all this traveling around and doing this da'wah, حس منهم الكفر. He sensed from them rejection. Just like we saw that rejected Jeremiah, we saw now a similar thing of rejection with Isa. And as we know that Allah informs us, it became a common practice now that Bani Israel will kill the Anbiya. What was given to them as a gift and a mercy from Allah, it became commonplace that they just kill them. As soon as they said something that they didn't agree with, kill them. They only wanted to hear what they wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear the truth from Allah. So Isa asked for Hawariyun, for disciples, what we call Sahaba, who were going to be those who would dedicate themselves to him in his da'wah and convey the message. Who were going to be the Hawariyun? And people came up and said, we will be from the Hawariyun. We will want to be from the Hawariyun, those who are the disciples, or we call the Sahaba. So Isa had from amongst them those who dedicated themselves to learning this new message, and they believed. And this is a good example that there was belief amongst them. There were some people amongst them who believed in the message. However, at one point, one of them or some of them said, can Allah send down to us a table of food, a table spread of food, a ma'idah, min as-sama', from the heavens. And Isa rebuked them. I mean, what kind of question is that? Can Allah do so? And then they explained themselves, no, it's not like that. Acknowledge the usloob, the mannerism wasn't, the question wasn't great, but the reason we ask is that we want some kind of evidence to indicate our virtue of being the believers when no one else believed. And we wanted also to increase our iman and belief. Just like Ibrahim asked a similar thing, when he asked for how do you cause life to come out of the dead, and when Allah asked him why he asked, he said, لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي, so my heart could have tranquility and increase in iman. So that's what they asked. So Isa made dua for the sending down of this ma'idah, this table of food from Allah. And Allah informed Isa and told Isa that we can do that, and we will send down a ma'idah from the heavens as a sign, as you requested. But there's a caveat here. If any one of them, any one of you, was to disbelieve after this ma'idah has come down, then you'll be punished more than anyone else will be punished. Why is that? Because you see a similar thing here as what's happened in previous nations. Do you remember the tribe of Thamud? They asked for a sign, they got a sign, and then they killed that sign. What happened to them? Then they were destroyed. We see many people who ask for signs, and when the signs come to them, they still disbelieve. Because Allah has given you an opportunity to use your aql, use your mind, use your intellect, and come to Islam. And if you try to test Allah and say, but I only believe if you give me a sign, that's not real iman. That's you trying to, your belief that they won't bring it, so you're trying to give your evidence that it's not true. So there's an element here of rejection. So it said here, if you still reject after this, then you punish more than anyone else. The ulama say it's not exactly known if the ma'idah actually came down or not. It just says that this is what they asked for and this is what Allah said to them. And inshallah, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But this is what happened during the time of Isa alayhi salam. Inshallah, we'll continue in our next episode, concluding the life of Isa alayhi salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.